Precision in expert testimony, counterfactuals, and material contribution. In legal settings, the words an expert chooses can shape a judge's or jury's decision, so precision matters. When you describe relationships between events, courts expect clear, causal language that separates what is known from what is inferred. Avoid speculative or overstated claims that suggest certainty where none exists. Phrases like "definitely caused" can be misleading and weaken credibility. Always differentiate opinion from fact and probability by stating whether a conclusion is supported by data, based on reasonable inference, or merely a hypothesis. Clear, well-qualified statements help the court weigh evidence fairly and reliably. A counterfactual is a statement about what would have happened if a particular event had not occurred. In expert reports, counterfactuals are a key tool to assess causation because they link an observed outcome to a specific exposure or action by comparing actual events with a plausible alternative scenario. To be useful, counterfactuals must be plausible, evidence-based, and clearly framed. Explain the basis for assuming the alternative, cite data or models that support the claim, and avoid fanciful speculation. Well-phrased counterfactuals help the court evaluate how likely a different outcome would have been without the event in question. The idea of material contribution asks whether a factor meaningfully increased the risk or severity of an outcome. It does not require that the factor be the sole cause. Rather, the focus is on whether its effect was more than trivial in context. When assessing material contribution, consider the magnitude and timing of the exposure, biological or mechanical plausibility, and supporting evidence that links the factor to increased harm. Communicate clearly if multiple causes existed, and explain why the factor in question still meets the threshold of materially contributing to the result rather than being an insignificant influence. When drafting counterfactuals, use careful qualified language. For example, "But for X, it is likely that Y would not have occurred." This frames the link as probable rather than certain. Another option: "If X had not happened, the probability of Y would have been reduced." That expresses a change in risk without claiming sole causation. Always include a confidence level and the factual basis for the claim. Say what data, studies, or assumptions underpin the statement. These templates make your logic transparent and help the court understand both the conclusion and its limits. To state material contribution, keep language measured and evidence linked. Use sentences like "X materially contributed to the risk of Y," or "X increased the likelihood of Y to a non-trivial degree." Follow these with the supporting basis. Cite relevant data, experimental results, or peer-reviewed literature, and explain how they justify the conclusion. Explicitly state the remaining uncertainty. For example, whether other factors also played roles, and how confident you are in the attribution. This approach balances helpful expert input with the humility courts expect when multiple causal pathways exist. A frequent mistake is using absolute terms that imply certainty. Words like never, definitely, or caused can overstate the evidence and harm credibility. To avoid this, choose qualifiers such as likely, probable, or increase the risk, and specify a confidence level where appropriate. Also, resist conflating correlation with causation. Explain why an association may reflect a causal relationship, or note limitations if it does not. Finally, document assumptions and alternative explanations so readers can see your reasoning and the boundaries of the conclusion. Imagine a short factual scenario. An employee was exposed to a chemical at work and later developed a condition linked in literature to that chemical. Draft a counterfactual using the template. But for the workplace exposure to chemical X, it is likely that the employee would not have developed condition Y, and add the basis, epidemiological studies and exposure measurements. For material contribution, write: exposure to chemical X materially contributed to the employee's risk of developing condition Y. Then cite dose data, timing, and relevant studies, and state your confidence level and any assumptions made. This shows how templates translate to concrete conclusions. When writing expert reports, use clear, cautious, counterfactual phrasing, and always indicate a confidence level and the factual basis for your claim. State material contribution in measured terms, emphasize that a factor increased risk, and avoid asserting it was the sole cause, unless evidence truly supports that. Be transparent about assumptions, limitations of the data, and alternative explanations so the court can judge the weight of your opinion. Thoughtful, evidence-linked wording preserves credibility and gives decision-makers the information they need to reach fair conclusions.